Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monaco GP preview show. We finally made it. Been talking on the chat with you guys for about an hour, just saying hello to everyone. I'll bring up a couple of what you guys are saying. Zavesh Dougal 7753. Mr. Loa is the best live streamer ever. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. The Barberfire. Hola. Greetings from Italy. Barber, you're a world traveler. And I'm so grateful to have like such an international audience. We've got people from Buenos Aires. There's a poll up. People from New Zealand. Melbourne, someone mentioned before. Kayla's in here. Kayla, here we go. Hello, everybody. Martin, of course. All right. So it is the Thursday Monaco GP preview show. It's my favorite show. It's my favorite track and my favorite show. If you haven't noticed the helmet that's behind me over there, it's blue because it's Monaco themed. Let me know if you haven't seen it in the chat, and I'll show it off to you. I try not to like show it off too much because it looks like, you know, I don't want to show it off too much. But if you haven't seen it before, I'd love to share it with you. So let me know. But it's an awesome look, Monaco weekend. If you're new here or you're from Drive to Survive or it's your first time watching F1 or whatever, the Monaco weekend, like, don't expect an amazing race. If you go in expecting amazing race, you might be disappointed. But it's like Wimbledon of F1. It's a celebration. It's qualifying. It's the drivers on the limit. It's that last Q3 lap. It's the tension that builds throughout the weekend, not knowing. It's the pressure right at the end in Q3 to not lock up. It's the risk and the reward and balancing all of that, threading these cars through these two Armco barriers. It's all of that, right? Qualifying is definitely the crescendo. And we have an approach to get there, which I'm going to share with you, called the street circuit rule. So, yeah, the Liga is saying iconic helmet, of course. Caleb's seen it. Okay. You have not seen it? Okay. Question with no straight. All right, hang on. Relax with the questions, guys. We'll get there. We'll get there in a sec. Okay. So there is it's chaos. You guys are going crazy. There is a like agenda that we're going to follow in the video description. So if you click more in the description, boom, you're going to get the full agenda. We go through the weather, driver's mentality, street circuit rule, technical track components. I've got the whiteboard handy. I'm looking at the track right now and we'll have a look at it together. Here it is. And strategy, it's not that important, but we're going to talk about all that jazz. And then we've got a Q&A at the end as well. So it'll be an easy live stream because most of it is, you know, building yourself a weekend. It's a very confidence-based circuit. So you just need to like, you know, you just need to go through the motions. But anyway, we'll get on to it. So we'll kick off with the weather as we always do. Yeah, Max is helping us out here. So it's all that jazz in the video description. We'll kick off with the weather as we always do. So come over, let's have a look. We'll see what we got. So it looks like warm and a little bit of drizzle around, but nothing really that's going to upset the weekend, I don't feel like. And we know that by the numbers here. So the 1.8 millimeters, it's not significant really. It's just a little bit of precipitation in the air. 24 though, so it's maybe it's humid. I don't know. I don't think I have humidity here, but maybe it's kind of dry and humid. I'm not sure. Saturday bone dry, Sunday bone dry as well. 24, 25. Not too much wind. Actually, it looks windy today out there. 10 meters per second is extremely windy. But yeah, Friday, I think you just need to be careful on the Friday with this possible shower. It's not something you want to be out on the track when it's about to get wet, it's wet or it's drying. Like if it rains, just come in, have a coffee, you know, play some cards out the back and just chill out. That's what I would do if it was raining. If you see guys putting on like inters and going out there, like dumb, you don't want to be doing that. So look, other than that, I don't have any other insights for the weather. Like the strategy, I think you'll be able to get, it's not, yes, it's warm, but I don't envisage it being a problem. I've seen guys do nearly the whole race on one set of tires around here, so that should be fine. I don't envisage any problems. There are going to be challenges out there. I just don't see the weather being particularly one of them. So let's get into the driver's mentality section. For me, it's a big weekend for Kimi Antonelli. Let me explain why. Monaco is not just a lap time circuit. Monaco is everything else. It's building yourself a weekend. It's a confidence circuit. It's a patience circuit. You know, you've got to let the track evolve over the weekend and come to you, and you've just got to still be there in the game come practice 1, practice 2, practice 3, quali 1, quali 2, quali 3. You got to be still present and have your car in one piece and just slowly kind of build away at the weekend. And so it's a professional weekend. Like, you've got to really, to win on Sunday. They say that the race, a lot of people say Monaco is not one on Sunday, it's one on Saturday. And if you've been following the channel for a while, you know, I go a step further and I say, oh, Monaco's really, it's won a lot on Friday as well. Like, if you just do good work on Friday and quickly identify the areas where the car, you can make it better and you stay alive and you complete your sessions. This is all easier said than done, by the way, particularly with these cars. We're going to talk about it, but stopping these cars is going to be a challenge. Then I think, yeah, Monaco is all about that progression and patience and professionalism and that kind of professional approach. So it's not just a lap time exercise until you make it there in the final runs of Q3. Only then is it a lap time exercise. But yeah, most of it is just how well can you feel the conditions and avoid risk and still get a read on the car, still push enough to get a read on the car, but don't push so much that you're in the wall kind of thing. And we've got some examples and we'll bring them up together. So that's why it's a big weekend for me for Kimi Antonelli, okay? So if we go back and look at some history, how Kimi's gone in some street circuits so far, obviously Canada was a good weekend for him, I guess, in terms of keeping it out of the barrier. This was Melbourne FP3. This is exactly the sort of thing you don't want to do because your confidence is literally halved. You'd be lucky to make qualifying if you do this kind of thing. So that's something you definitely want to avoid. There was, other examples. I think Antonelli this time last year in Monaco, and it was his rookie season. Yeah, broke out what we call our street circuit rule here, turned in a little bit too early into the Nouvelle chicane. And then, as you can see, the left front is about to hit this curve barrier. And then obviously he smashes the left front. That was in Q1. Definitely not something you want to be doing. So, and this is why I say it's a big weekend for Kimi, because if he can string together and build a weekend on solid platform, and build himself the Monaco Grand Prix victory, then it's very hard to say like why he can't go on to be a world champion. For me, his probabilities of being a world champion would take a step forward significantly. However, I think that there's something tells me that something will get in the way of maybe Kimi putting together such a weekend. Let's see how we go. I hope he's learned from last year. It will be a quick learner if he has, but these cars can catch you out. You know, you got to be super careful. So Kimi Antonelli is on my driver's mentality section. The other thing I'll mention here that is really, really, really important is the run plans. The engineers being engineers, not understanding that a driver or human is in the car. They're going to want hard tire data. They're going to want fuel rates. They're probably going to put you on a hard compound tire and a heavy fuel load to go out for practice. And like, no. If it were me in the team, I'd be like, no, I don't care about your long runs. I don't care about your hard compounds. I don't care about your fuel loads. I want to de-risk my driver. I want to not put him in a situation with a heavy car on a dusty track in Monaco on a Friday with a hard compound. Like that's not a situation I'd want to be putting my driver into. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Charles or Carlos or any one of them, right? I wouldn't put anyone through that. So that's where the engineers just need to take a back seat and be like, forget your data. You know, we'll run our race. Don't worry about it. We'll work it out on Sunday. What we need to do is build confidence with the driver, get an idea on setup as it pertains to qualifying. We're really going to prioritize that and clean the track a little bit. And so what we want to do is maybe give him a medium compound and 25 liters of fuel, something like that, just so that the driver goes around and is like, oh, yeah, this is not too bad. I'm starting to feel not too bad pretty quickly. Boom, the confidence just takes a step straight away. Now you've got your driver on the right foot. Yeah, okay, we sacrifice our long run data because it's kind of useless, and we prioritize driver confidence and feel in that kind of not fully qualifying setup, but like in that direction, right? If full tank is over here and no fuel and quali is over here, we want to just move it kind of close. So medium compound tire, 30 liters of fuel, go out, clean the track up, get a feel for it. Once the grip is there and you're happy with everything, you got your quali set up and you have time and ability and you want to do a long run, all right, do a long run. At least the track's clean and the guy's got confidence. You understand? That's the way to do it. So keep an eye out for that. That's my first insight for you in this live stream, is like, look out for those guys that go on the hard compound tire with the heavy fuel, because this is the typical Friday run plan. Next minute, the guy's in the wall, and me, you, and everyone on this channel are like, you guys are stupid. So that's definitely, I'm very clear on that one. That's a big piece for me. The other person on my driver mentality section is probably Lewis. I'd say that he's probably beaming with confidence coming from Canada last time out. And Charles, not so much. Maybe he's not that confident coming off Canada. It's going to be difficult maybe for him to turn a page. And given that Monaco is a confident circuit, I think Lewis is in a really good position to have a strong result this weekend as well. So potentially another P2 or podium on the cards, I think, for Lewis as well. And I think, yeah, confidence, going back to the confidence point. The other piece on my notes is, I don't know if you've seen the high performance pod with Nico Rosberg. I think it was one of their best pods. Jake, I think his name is. Nico was there. There's another guy in there. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. But it was a really good pod. And if you want approach, mindset, professionalism, class, Nico Rosberg's your man. Like, he's done it all. The guy is quality. And he talks about working with psychologists and philosophers and mentors and coaches and everything, and how it helped him overcome certain things. And I got a lot of respect for Nico, what he went through. So that's a fantastic pod. I'm not going to play clips or extracts because the whole pod was great, and I recommend you go and watch it. That's all. So we've got Antonelli needs to build himself a weekend. Lewis Hamilton, probably fairly confident off the back of Canada. Nico Rosberg had some great insights in the high performance pod. I spoke to you guys about the run plans and the importance of cleaning the track up and so on. That's my, yeah, Barbara, what are you saying here? It was a lovely podcast. I learned a lot from Nico. Yeah, I agree. Me too. Yeah, I like Nico. He's class. That's why I did my world champions tier list. And even though he's a one-time champion, I think I said, for me, Nico Rosberg is class. And I put him up there with multiple world champions. I put him up there with Prost, for example, because Nico's just, he's very good in terms of the professional approach and mindset and so on. Luke, man, love Nico's podcast and his interviews with other drivers too. Yeah, Nico's class. Yeah. Nico, Max Flashheart says, Nico was a machine and he still is. I agree. Okay, perfect. Catherine, yeah, I watched the Nico podcast today. It was great. Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, cool. All right, let's talk about the street circuit rule then. I'll bring it up for you. I'm sick of drawing it out on the whiteboard. So I've actually made a little framework that we can talk to. I'll talk to it here. So on one axis, like I said before, right, I'll give you guys a bit of context. You got to build that confidence throughout the weekend, and it starts in FP1. When you crash, or even, just not even a massive crash, but you stick the front wing in the wall or something small, it really does pull back on your confidence. Trust me on that. I can tell you from firsthand experience. It's like you see the car broken, you feel like an idiot, everyone's looking at you, red flag, yellow flag, the whole session stops because you're in the wall, because you're dumb, you've locked the brake, and you kind of feel like, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. All that stuff, all that mental self-doubt, and the confidence takes a knock. So what we want to do this weekend is avoid that at all costs, and only kind of raise the chips when we're confident the track is cleaning up, and we just do that very slowly throughout the weekend. So in FP1, as you can see, we've got confidence on this axis over here, and then we've got time and all your sessions along the bottom axis down here. So as time goes on, you just want to build your confidence. It's essentially the modus operandi. So FP1, you start from 0 and you just go out and build your confidence. Okay. If you're going to have a crash, FP1 is probably the best place to have it, because everyone's starting from 0 and we're all trying to build our confidence throughout FP1. What you don't want to do is do what Antonelli did and crash in Q1 or FP3 are really bad times to have an accident. Max, don't be dumb. Yeah, you guys are funny, man. How am I going to present professionally when you guys are making me laugh? Don't be dumb. Yeah, don't be dumb. Don't stick it in the wall in FP1. Okay, now look, you need to complete FP1 in order to take that confidence step. If you make it halfway through FP1 and crash, that doesn't count, okay? You've got to actually see the end of it and then take a confident step to FP2, go through FP2, come home, have a shower, have a bowl of rice and some chicken and go to bed. And that's all. Have a shower and that's it. That's Friday done. You come out on FP3, actually got to do the whole thing again. Go out. Where's the track? Is it the same as yesterday? What's changed? Has anything happened? We just got to take it easy out there and be careful. So FP3, you're building that confidence again. You will do some qualifying runs towards the end of FP3, and it's really important that you hold a few cards close to your chest in FP3 as to A, not reveal your hand, and B, not put the car in the wall as a priority, right? I'm clear on that this weekend. And then make it through FP3, and now you're in qualifying with the car in one piece. Perfect. Your confidence, you've done a few laps now. You've got an idea on the car setup. You're pretty good with everything, but you're going out for Q1. You don't want to do a Kimi Antonelli and stick it in the wall in Q1. Again, through qualifying, you've got to continue to build that throughout. Now, if you're fighting for pole, it's only really in Q3. That first run is very important, by the way, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it's only really in Q3 where I would allow you to run free and say, you know what, this is it. This is Monaco quali. Let's fucking just go for it. Like I'll allow you, if you put in the wall in Q3, like that can happen. We're fighting and competing for pole at that point. It's fine. Worst case, you start top 10 or whatever. You could take the approach of get the banker lap in, just a gentle Q3 lap. However, there's some dirty players out there in Monaco who will go for a good run in the first part of Q3 and then put it in the wall at the end of Q3 to preclude other drivers from getting their lap from red flags, yellow flags, all that sort of thing. And so the first run in quali, you've got to treat it as if it's your only run, unfortunately. And that's the high stakes of Monaco. That's the risk reward that you're balancing. So you've got to treat your first run as if it's your only run, and you've got to find that balance between how much do you push and how much do you conserve, knowing that you might not get another run. If you do get another run, it goes without saying that's going to be your ultimate push lap. But if you don't, you've got to manage that first lap as if it's one lap qualifying kind of thing. Now, if you crash, like I said, in FP2, FP3, your confidence comes down here somewhere. And what happens is if you follow that trajectory through, you're kind of starting qualifying a little bit meh in terms of confidence. That's not to say that you can't have a crash in FP2 and still get pole. Absolutely, it's possible. But is it the most likely outcome, or is it the line of least resistance to a Monaco Grand Prix pole or win? No, it's not. The green path is the path you want to traverse to pole and the race win. The red path, it's possible, but it's the least likely outcome. It'd be very unlikely that someone puts it in the wall in FP3 and goes out and nails qualifying. Then it's kind of like you're just throwing the dartboard at the darts in that case and hoping you hit it, and maybe one lap you hit it, maybe one lap you hit the wall, maybe one lap you hit pole and jackpot. So it's kind of like you don't really know what you're doing at that point. You just kind of fluke the pole basically. And so you want to follow the green path. It's really important in the race as well. And the drivers are all pretty good at this, okay? The drivers are all really good at this because they're aware it's hard compound, it's full tank of fuel. They're all pretty good at starting the Monaco Grand Prix fairly slowly and building throughout the race. They're all really good at that because they're aware that points are on the line. What they're not so good at is this left-hand side of the picture in FP1, FP2, FP3 and qualifying. So this is full context for the weekend. This is what you need to do. Now, the reason that we've got this out this weekend and it is the way it is because A, Monaco's a confidence circuit, and B, a mistake will cost you massively. This is not like Austin, Texas, where if you lock a brake, you just recover, or Miami or whatever. You lock a brake, there's a bit of room, or maybe not Miami in some places, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like you can't afford, like Paul Ricard, for example, you can't just lock a brake and all sweet come back around. No, if you lock a brake, mate, you're out. Like you're no longer going to be traversing the green path. And so this is why Monaco deserves to have its place in the calendar, and if it's not there anymore, I won't be very happy. So yeah, are we clear on that? Is there any questions on the street circuit rule? I'll show you guys a couple of examples if you want to ask a couple of questions. I just hope that it's clear, to be honest. Let's run through a few examples. So that was the one we saw, Street Circuit, Antonelli. Obviously, he didn't win. I've always said that he got away extremely lucky. The Mercedes pit crew were the heroes of this to get this car rebuilt for qualifying in Australia. And that was that one last year. We spoke about that one already. By the way, this is similar to Hadjar's one in Miami, because the unique thing about Monaco is your apex is the wall and the wall is your apex. So if you hit the apex, you hit the wall. Very, very counterintuitive as a race driver. And so like him is actually done what feels natural to him to hit the apex. In fact, it's a wall. So in a way, you've got to go around your apexes. And so like, yeah, anyway, I'll show this to you. This is a good question, so I'll bring this up. Zedalahum question, how does experience factor in? Yeah, experience is everything around here. Not so much experience in terms of experience driving the track and setting up the track and stuff. I think that's all very, you know, you kind of either have that or you don't kind of thing. You either like the track or not, and you can ride the bumps and the cambers and the curbs, and we'll get onto the technical track discussion in a minute. But I think the experience is the mindset, the approach, everything I'm saying with the street circuit rule, the image I showed you before. That piece really is the experience piece. That's why Kimi was in the wall last year, because not that he's not experienced driving a Formula One car around Monaco. Like he could probably do that and do that fine. But building a weekend you really got to zoom out. And so I think experience is huge. Yeah, it's a good question, but I think it really is that. I think Max learned this the hard way as well. They all learn the hard way because none of them have coaches and mentors, right? Except Nico Rosberg. Hamilton last year broke the street circuit rule at turn 3, which is called Massonnet, I hope. Sorry, I'm not French, but at least I hope that's the right word. Bit of oversteer, the back stepping out. That was the story of Lewis's 2025. Leclerc in Baku. I'm not sure if he's won that race, but there's been a lot of accidents throughout the years there. We've got that one. This was Max's big one in FP3 in 2018. He was so quick that year, and Daniel Ricciardo ended up winning the race because Daniel followed the green line and Max followed the red line. So Max, like I said before, Max has learnt a lot from this. Oscar Piastri, obviously in the race in Melbourne and in Monaco last year. So Oscar, he has a mindset coach, but I'm not sure he has a driver coach. He will need to carry a good mentality into this weekend as well. Okay, so did you guys ask a couple of questions? What are you guys saying? Because I'm keen to just, yeah. Only during Q3. Luke, man, yeah. Charles talked about how the bumps change in Monaco from year to year. Okay, great. I'll talk about it when we get to the technical stuff, the bumps and all that jazz. Learning the hard lessons too. With the regs, are there any more overtake places, or is the chicane still the one? It's always going to be difficult in Monaco. And like I said at the start of the stream, I don't have any expectations for a good race. If we get a good race, awesome. We got a good race. Happy. If we don't get a good race, well, that's the norm around Monaco, and the highlight really is quali. So I'm not too disappointed if we don't get a good race. Like there's no guarantee or promise of a good race around there. So, I know your questions about overtaking and stuff, but like it's going to be hard. It's always hard. Doesn't matter what regs. It's hard. It's hard. It's either hard or extremely hard or harder or hardest. Monaco should have its own rule. Crash in Q3, start 10th. I'm pretty sure that will happen. If you make it into Q3 and you crash, I'm pretty sure you will start 10th. So I think that's fine. Yeah, what do I think about no straight line mode? Okay, we'll get onto it because we're following an agenda, and in that agenda is the PU information sheet, and we'll go for it. Okay. You know what's funny? The next thing on my notes is no straight line mode this weekend. So, yeah, I better take that question. Look, I think that it's not a deal breaker for me because, okay, you open the wings and what? So what? Like, Well, so if I come over to the track map, I'll show it to you for the first time in this live stream. So you're either going to have it as an option down through the tunnel and through into the Nouvelle Chicane. I don't think it's safe to do so there, so that one's out. Or your other option is down the pit straight over here, where you could do it. But then again, I go back and be like, why? All right, open the wings. Like, what's the point? Like, you got to remember the straight line mode, the reason it's invented is for battery purposes, so that there's more efficient battery spend. So if battery is not a problem around here, then I guess you don't need that anymore. It's not a big deal, to be honest. I'll show you what is a big deal in a sec. Yeah, have a look at this. This is a big deal. Here we go. This is a big deal. Hopefully you can see this. So how the FIA is limiting F1 cars' top speeds at the Monaco GP with new engine maps by Autosport. This one edited by or posted by Gianluca D'Alessandro. Good job, Gianluca. This is very good. All right, so I'm going to skip through and highlight to you the important part. Yeah, so can you guys see this? I'm going to zoom in. So it says here, with such a powerful electric motor, some Grand Prix, including Monaco, will feature a specific engine mapping named Rev1, applying an alternative limit to the MG UK power curve. The goal is to prevent excessive speed in areas like the pit straight, the tunnel, and the uphill section towards Massonnet. The maximal power won't be lowered in Monaco, but the clipping phase will be modified. In standard mode, the electric motor can deliver 350 kilowatts up to 290 kilometers per hour before the power is gradually cut back, dropping to 250 kilowatts at 310, blah, 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 blah. Now, in Monaco, the cars will deliver 350 kilowatt only up to 200 kilometers per hour before entering the clipping phase. I would tinker with this guy's vocabulary because it's not the clipping phase. It's like a taper, I guess. Yeah. Okay, I guess he's differentiating between clipping and super clipping, but like essentially it's still deploying power. It's not clipping is the reactive recharge, okay? It's still going to be deploying power, just not so much. So check out this graph, right? And you guys let me know what you think about this in the chat because like I'm not sure how I feel about this, honestly. I'll just bring you this in shot. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Can these ads go away, mate? Please? Piss off. Go away. I don't know. It's just ugly as fuck. Anyway, yeah, here is a close. And look, they're just smashing it. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I'll bring that question down. I'm not sure how I feel about this, guys. Let me know how you feel about this. Essentially, what they're doing is the cars can deploy. Come back to me for a sec because you might not understand this. The cars can deploy 350 kilowatts up to 290 kilometers, and then there's the taper that starts, which is where the power starts to fall away. But in Monaco, it's up to 200 and then the power starts to fall away for safety reasons. I'm not sure how I feel about this, guys. Like, on one half, I'm like, hang on a minute. This was meant to be it. This was meant to be the one where it was the most organic, pure expression of driving the whole season. These are the best guys in the world. The right foot controls the throttle. It works in both directions. And you got to manage your power around the circuit. That's a very basic, fundamental take on it. And like, you're definitely good enough at that level to manage that power. Will we see more accidents? Yes. Is it unsafe at those speeds? I mean, possibly. It seems like a very aggressive cut to the, like it's a very aggressive modification is what I'm thinking as well. What are you guys saying? Because I'm kind of torn on this. I think directionally, potentially they made a correct call, but not to the extent that they've made this like up to 200. Like that's very early to start tapering back the power. Do you know what I mean? I get it. Like 290 is, you know, you don't want them going like, you don't want them doing 350 down this through the tunnel and stuff like that. I get it. But like at 200, what are you guys saying? Because I'm open to thoughts here. All right. Leon, 9X. I think it's good for safety. Monaco is way too narrow and small for full power on these cars. Okay, one to safety. Jordan Hill, 700. FIA should have zero control or influence on the cars. I guess that's one for racing. Zavish Duggle, hang on, let me go back. Hang on. Zavish Duggle says it's pathetic. That's one for racing. Yeah, what are you guys saying? Kimchi0059. I see people on Insta saying it's for safety. The gimmick of this year's cars are high top speed and weak brakes. Why limit the speed? It's stupid. Yeah. Russ999 seems silly. Monaco is a parade anyway. What is cutting the speed going to do? I guess the parade, you're referring to the race. Forget the race for a second. This is just like, this is now the qualifying picture and the performance picture that we're going to try to put the performance hat on, not so much the parade of the race hat on. But I take your point that it seems silly. They're overly cautious. Gin 95X cutting down. Yeah, cutting down after 260 or 270 made more sense. I agree. I just feel like, you know, they were cutting the power at 290 previously. Now it's 200. That's, for me, a big gap. I don't know. I just think it's surely you want to find that balance where it's hard for the drivers now, but it's not dangerous. And I'm sure that's a really tough balance to strike. All right. Well, let me go back to the article then. So yeah, anyway, so what you've got is the blue line across the top here. This, you can see 350 kilowatt. Let me get this image somewhere else. There you go. Beautiful. Okay. So you got the 350 kilowatts across the top, deploy, 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 deploy. Normally, it's once you get to 290 kilometers, that's down here on the bottom. I'll just bring these questions down. Then the battery will start tapering off. And then only after that, you will get your super clipping at the end. And the overtake mode is in the dotted line, which is obviously, yeah, crazy speeds around Monaco. However, look how much they've given it a haircut. You know, it's up to now 200 kilometers. Boom, it starts tapering down all the way down to 300 Ks. So they're basically saying between 200 and 300, you're going to be, we're walling you in there. And the overtake gets extra. This is the thing. It's, you know what's going to be dangerous? Not necessarily the speeds per se, but the fact of one car overtaking another car with significantly more power is going to, imagine trying to drive around the outside of someone in the tunnel, or like pulling a move up the inside of turn one and locking the brakes and going straight in the wall kind of thing. I think the active overtake mode in Monaco, yeah, and this option of overtake battery, I think that's the dangerous part of it, not the overall power kind of thing. Tricky. And then you got the alternate strategy as well. Okay, cool. But look, I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. It's definitely not pure, but I can see that it could be a bit of a handful. Let's have a look at the PU information sheet now. I'll bring it up because we've got to look at it in that context. And I'll bring it up for you guys now, and we'll have a look and see what they're going on here. All right. So hopefully you can see that on the screen. It's a pretty straightforward one. There's no straight line modes around here, no SM modes, SLM modes, SL modes. None of them around here, to which I feel indifferent. That doesn't, from a driver's point of view, like it doesn't really matter. You get to brake later because you got less speed. That's all. A lot of battery to be deployed around here. They're giving you guys 8.5 megajoules in the race, 9 in qualifying, 9 in practice, 9 in overtake. So there's plenty of battery to be able to deploy around here. It's just that it's hard to deploy because you're cornering a lot. And then, yeah, you've got this, which we just spoke about, which is our new power curves through here. 350 kilowatt, only up to 200 kilometers, then you taper down to 300. Overtake, you get a little more. There's not much else happening, guys. It's pretty straightforward other than that. There's no 0 kilowatt zones. Except for in qualifying out of the final corner, where you can hold on to your battery and deploy it later down the pitch straight. That's it. No 0 kilowatt zones, no 250 kilowatt zones. It's pretty simple other than that. This is the big question mark, whether or not we agree with that. So look, we'll come back to that maybe in the maybe in the question, like let's have a think about that, see how we feel about it, and let me know in the Q&A section at the end of the live. We'll have a chat about that there. Let's have a look at the track from a technical point of view, because I think that's going to be the big story. We're on to chapter 7 now. This is the technical track map discussion around Monaco. What matters, what doesn't matter, how to drive a good lap, how to set up the car, all the fun stuff, right? With the exception of all that battery crap, all right? Here we go. So obviously the street circuit rules the context for everything, but if you got that all sorted, then what makes a quick lap around Monaco, okay? For me, I'm going to have number 1 as braking grip. Not many people talk about braking grip, but it's extremely important. It's like when you hit the brakes, what do you get? How much braking grip do you have, okay? And you start the lap here across the bumps into Saint-Devote, and you know straight away whether or not it's going to be a good lap, or the tires are in the window, or the brakes are in the window. You know straight away, depending on the feel you get under brakes into turn 1. It's a bit of a tough corner to navigate because there's a bit of a dip and it's bumpy and there's no runoff here. This is where Piastri crashed in practice in 2025. I showed you guys the image before. And so braking grip is really important. Not many people think about front wing as helping with braking grip. If I said to you, what does adding more front wing do? The first answer that comes to your mind is more front end in the high speed. However, there's a few more things that the front wing will do. It'll give you more drag as well, and it'll give you more braking grip as well. So whenever I'm helping someone around here, I'm like, hey, go for more front wing. It's going to give you more vertical load across the front axle, and it's going to give me this. I want braking grip. I want to be able to brake nice and late into turn 1, and here as well. I don't want to lock up any fronts, down into turn 5. The braking grip over the front is really important. Likewise into the Nouvelle chicane into 10, and same into 18, which is Rascasse as well. So if I'm prioritizing one thing, for me, it's braking grip. The second on my list, I'd go with traction. Remember, traction, some drivers refer to this as drive off the corner. Traction is how easily you can put your right foot down out of the exit of the corner and not get too much wheel spin, basically. So if there's good traction, you've got good grip under throttle, and that's helpful. The thing is, with these regs and these cars, there is what's called on-throttle regen, which means the moment you push the throttle, the battery is charging instead of deploying. And that is, in a way, a form of traction control, which means you don't get the full power underneath your right foot the moment you push it, which is a bit stupid in my opinion. It takes away from the whole spectacle. You won't see the cars sliding around that much like you should. Imagine if they didn't have that and you got the 350 kilowatts underneath your right foot straight away. Now we're talking, guys, and that's going to separate the men from the boys out there. And so we don't have that. We've got this on-throttle regen, right? But in an or normal sense, I'll just put that here. It's called part throttle regen, and it's the worst thing in the world. It's approximately good to traction control. Okay, it's bullshit. So like normally, if you're in a naturally aspirated V8 or anything else, then traction is your friend. But in this case, it's not going to be a big story. And so I want this one. Keep an eye out for this, guys. Watch the amount of lockups across the front axle into turn 1, turn 3, turn 5, turn 10, and into 18 as well, okay? So here is my eyes are here. Braking grip, front wing. Ask the engineers, give me more braking grip, mate. I don't care what you got to do to like prioritize this. Second is traction, but it's not a big deal. Other than that, you really want a car that's going to ride the track really well. What do I mean by that? Monaco is full of elevation, dips, cambers, crests, bumps. It's all that, track camber and stuff like that. So you want a car that's just going to go well over the, I'll just call it elevations are really important. Right? And then, hey, stop. And then you got your bumps, and then you got your cambers. Right, you need something that can just deal with all this right? That's really important as well. So in the absence of traction, I'll probably go for these. I'm here. I'm 1 and 3, okay? They're the most important thing. So like, I'll give you guys a really good example, right? There's downhill braking into turn 5 and there's downhill braking into turn 10, okay? Both of these are downhill. I'll write it for you so you guys can follow me. So this one's downhill. I'll put DH. So, you know, I don't want you guys to watch me write the whole time. And this one's downhill as well. Now, they're extremely different downhill braking zones, okay? The one between turn 4 and 5, if you look at it in section, it's all good. Like, it's just a normal downhill braking zone. But the one into the Nouvelle chicane, it kind of goes like this and then it falls away like that. So you've got this kind of crest effect across the top here. So you've got a downhill braking here where you're going to get understeer. And then you got like a downhill crest here, which is going to reduce vertical load across the rear where you're going to get rear locking as you brake into the Nouvelle chicane over here. So they're really different. You need a car that can deal with the downhill, can deal with the crests. There's an off camber. There's another crest here, by the way, which really destroys traction. Off camber here as well. What else do we have around this track? Yeah, there's an uphill off camber corner here. I think the corner's Antinode, something like that. It goes uphill out of Raskas foot and then like a little, there's a crest here as well, and at end it's off camber for good measure. So there's no grip at the apex of 19 and no traction there as well. So there's all this stuff around the track that you've got to be careful. I mentioned the bumps at turn 1. And so the car needs to be able to deal with all that really well, which is why 1 and 3 are the most important to me. The car just resettles its platform nicely over the bumps and stuff like that. Now, as a driver, you need to be, this is the key to Monaco, in my opinion. How well can you dance the car around the track? How good is your rhythm and your flow and your anticipation? Mainly for this, mainly for your elevations, bumps and cambers. So it's like, you know, at turn 1, you've got the bumps. So you're going to brake softly. And then once you've done the braking, pull back with the gears a lot and get out of here. Boost the car up here, full throttle, nail the throttle. Here you want to play a bit of a tight line into Massenet, not go too wide. It's dusty over here. That's where Hamilton crashed last year. You've got a nice direction change before your crest here in the road, which is going to ruin your traction. Then you've got to go around the bump over here as you brake into Mirabeau, I want to say. Now the front of the car can get in the air here in Mirabeau because the track really falls away and it's downhill. So it's hard, a lot of understeer into here. So you want to make a diff change, a brake balance change. There's a lot that needs to happen. You've got to do the rotation here. There's a really cool piece of concrete that you want to take here at your apex. The car's got to resettle. Then you've got to nail the throttle quickly into there. Lift, brake, turn, traction on turn 8. So it's, you're really just, you're dancing the car through the track, and you just got to be like, you've got to be a few steps ahead of the car so that you can anticipate for all these things and know what to expect throughout the track. I think that's the best way I can explain it to you, and how to drive the track. Now, braking into the Nouvelle chicane, it's a downhill braking, but like I said, it kind of falls off this crest here, like I drew here. So you've got to be really gentle, really careful, really progressive. Then you need to take a curb here at turn 11, and you've got to miss the wall here on the left. To back, the apex is the wall, and so hitting the wall means hitting the apex, and you've got to be very precise with the front end of the car as you turn into to back. That's a very famous corner. The swimming pool is an overrated corner for me. It's usually flat or a lift. It's pretty easy. This is another one where the apex is the wall, the swimming pool chicane. And then braking for Raskas, you're turning and braking at the same time. So it's very easy to lock up the front tires into Raskas 17 and 18. And like I said, you got the off camber crest, turn 19 as well. Straighten the steering wheel as much as possible. And that's why you saw Max hugging it, because he's just trying to straighten the steering wheel. And that's why you saw Max like stay to the right here for shortest distance to the line as well. All that is how you run the circuit and manage the circuit. So I hope I've helped give you an idea. It is a dance, it is a flow, it is a rhythm thing. you've got to be really at one with the car, and you've got to be one step ahead of the car to anticipate all this stuff that's happening around the track. Like, here's my bump, here's my braking, here's my understeer, here's my traction, here's my downhill braking, here's my apex, my curb, my crest, my camber. Boom, boom, boom. You got to just be on it and use your gearbox really well as well. Time your shifts, steering wheel. It's amazing. It's a great track and quality. So that's pretty much it. How did I go? Oh, what are you guys saying? Any questions on that? Zavesh was super informative. Okay, beautiful. I hope it helps. James Wharton in the wall, Monaco, F3 Monaco. Is that practice? What is that? Let me take a drink. Yeah. The other thing is you want to be really progressive with your inputs as well, okay? This is not high speed and therefore high downforce circuit and therefore high grip circuit, okay? It's low speeds, low grip, low downforce. It's that kind of thing. And so, like, you're not generating much downforce. It's some of the speeds you can see through here, like 90, 85, 80, 75, 75, to back even at 180, 115, Rascas at 60, 85. Okay, these are very slow speed corners. Downforce is not significantly active. It's not with you in these corners. Therefore, progressive inputs are your friend. Progressive braking, progressive throttle, progressive steering, just kind of introduce the car to what's coming next. Very different to how you would brake for, I don't know, what's a good example? Like Spa Turn 1 last year in 2025, you know, or Lake Coombe chicane at the end of the straight in Spa, where you can just nail the brakes, or final chicane in Spa. You can just nail the brakes because you've got the speed and you've got the downforce and you've got the grip. You don't have any of that here. And so progressive inputs, like, you're really using the range of the pedals, you know? It's not like on, off. It's partial, progressive. You use your range, and that's your palette around Monaco. Yeah. X Muddy, how to avoid the big bump in the braking zone in turn 1? You can't really. The only thing you can do is time when you brake. Do you brake on that bump, after that bump, before that bump? And then how hard do you push the brakes therefore? So let's say, for example, let's draw this out. It's a good question. Let's say, for example, I'll draw it in blue. Your bump is here. So you've got two options, really. Do you brake before and soft? This is what I would recommend, by the way, in practice. Or do you never brake on it? Obviously, that's going to ruin your braking grip, which is number one priority. Don't forget. Over here. Or you've got the option of go over it, wait for the car to resettle, and then brake later and harder. I would not recommend this unless you've got some serious downforce to go with it. All right. So it's kind of a good question, but there's not much you can do, right? In fact, in this one up here, after the Casino Square, this bump over here, you've got to go around it. I think it's further down. It's probably more like down here. You got to drive around that. There's nothing you can do about it other than just drive around them, basically. Give them respect. We separate the inputs as much as possible. Who wrote that? Enrique Mendez. Very good. Very good. Yeah, this is not a track you want to combine that much. Very similar to Miami in that sense. You can't like brake and turn at the same time. And if you do, both of them have to be very gentle inputs, very gentle on the brakes, very gentle on the steering. If one of them is too much and you're combining in the truest sense, you're going to lock up. You'll be in the wall before you know it. What a crime there's no Spa next season. Yes, I agree. Spa's a great track, God tier track. Since George struggled in Miami due to low grip, will he also struggle in Monaco as well? Yeah, it's definitely, I see the line that you're drawing across there in the comparison. It is definitely a possibility. I think struggle is a big word. I wouldn't say George would struggle, but is it his favorite natural habitat? Maybe not. So I think George will be okay, but George is going to be okay for different reasons, okay? The reason that George will be okay this weekend, I think, and I hope it doesn't prove me wrong, is this. I think George will hopefully follow this more than some of your other inexperienced drivers. And this is worth a lot. This is worth just as much as everything we just discussed over here. You know, so these two need to go hand in hand. You need to build yourself a weekend, and then you've got to do all this as well. This is where the lap time is going to come from in Q3. Okay, cool. I think we're moving along very nicely. What I will do now is have a look at Pirelli's press release, which is always a good laugh. Here it is. Okay, so we'll go through it fairly quickly because I want to get onto you guys' questions and stuff as well. So we'll whiz through this section. Pirelli, they got the softest compounds. Tell me something interesting or I'm going to leave this website immediately. Monaco, blah, blah, blah. The carriageway, blah, blah, blah. Yep, the average speed is this. From a technical point of view, the Monaco weekend is one of the most complex for the team. So I require, maximum downforce to focus on qualifying to secure. Okay, beautiful. For Monaco, the softest tyre range is always selected. C3, C4, C5 to ensure maximum grip. Okay, now this is the problem. Remember I said to you guys, if you've got engineering team who say, okay, Lewis, we're going to start you on the C3 and 70 litres of fuel for FP1. This is where Lewis or whoever it is that an engineer comes with this stupid directive need to say, mate, are you serious? You want me to drive this car on this tyre around this track on Friday morning? No, I'll take this one and I'll take half a fuel load and let me just go around and get some confidence. So keep an eye out for that. I think that's very important. And I spoke about that earlier in the live stream. For this edition, the road has been resurfaced between turns 19 and turn 1. So that's the pitch straight. Between turn 7 and the entrance to the tunnel. That is a small strip between Mirabeau and Poitiers, which is fine, as well as on the entry to and the exit of the pit lane. Graining may occur, but it should not significantly affect tyre behaviour. The tyres are subject to mainly traction-related loads. Oh, very good. Yeah, I got that. Hey, I said that. That's me. That's on my whiteboard. Very good, Pirelli. We agree. The low level of tyre deg on the Monaco track traditionally results in a one-stop race. It's got nothing to do with that, mate. It's got to do with the ability to pass. But I'll forgive you for your incompetence. An exception was last year. Yeah, cool. Strategies. All right, beautiful. This is all useless. Cool. All right. No news there, really, in my opinion. So we can pass on that one. Okay, turn 1, lap 1 and restarts. Very straightforward. I know I've drawn a lot on here, but the restart is very straightforward. You just open the race on the exit of turn 19. You don't need to think too hard about it. You do have the option to open the race on the exit of turn 18, which now that I think about it might be a better play, just to catch your opponent out who thinks that you're going to do it here. And 18 is a tighter corner. Actually, now that I think about it, that's probably not a bad idea. I would open the race if I was the leader on the exit of turn 18 out of Rascasse. And turn 1, lap 1, mate, stay alive and don't hit the wall. That's all you got to do. The wall's being here. Yeah, be careful, basically. So there's going to be no grip and there's going to be no space. And if you've been following the channel, you know grip and space are the two things we look for on turn 1, lap 1. You don't have either of them. So just chill. That's all you can really do. In terms of predictions for this weekend, there's been a lot of talk about Ferrari being very good because of their turbo and chassis. If it is to be Ferrari, I just feel like Lewis's confidence off the back of Canada is maybe slightly higher than Charles's right now. And then Monaco being a confidence circuit like we spoke about, I see Lewis having a strong weekend if the Ferrari is up to it. Another question I got asked during the week is, will Lando's 1 minute 9.9 be beaten? I would say yes if they didn't muck around with our PU information sheet. So if they're not giving us this crazy taper and no straight line mode, then I would probably say yes, because you've got smaller cars, more agile cars with traction control, basically. And yeah, in that case, I would say yes. However, they've really clipped the power from 200 kilometers. They've tapered it back a lot, and no straight line mode as well. So those two things combined, I think it would be maybe tricky to beat the lap, but they might go close. Who knows? I think they might go close, but I don't think they'll beat Lando's lap from last time. Okay, we're early today and on time. Let's take a 2-minute break, and then we'll answer your questions. We'll have a bit of a Q&A, and then we'll wrap up. Super chats, all that jazz. Remind me for super chats, okay? 2-minute break. Let's. Alrighty, how do we go? Question time. Luke Mann's got the first one. Will my man Alonso be more competitive with Aston Martin Honda, a tractor in Monaco? Yeah, I'm kind of asking the wrong guy, to be honest. Like, I don't know. What are they bringing? What have they done? Is the car getting there? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Fernando per se around here. And so I hope so, but I wouldn't count on it, Luke, man. Don't hold your breath. RK96 question: does no straight line mode make overtake more powerful? No. When the wings are open at those speeds, pushing the boost button means that you haven't got much drag to compete with, and therefore you get more bang for your buck with that power. Having the wings closed gives you a little bit more drag, and when you push that button, kind of you don't get as much bang for your buck kind of thing. I would say no. I'm not all in on that, but that's my first take. Solder Mass, your thoughts on the regs? Okay, I'm split in two. Obviously the clipping and the battery and everything, I'm not a fan of it. However, that is the key for the racing and the overtaking that we have. In order to have one car with overtake and ability to harvest extra battery and all the racing we're getting on the attacking side, you need a car that's handcuffed, clipping, battery limited, power limited in order to get that contrast, right? If you give the cars all this power and all this power and no clipping, what's your avenue or door for overtaking mechanism? You know, and I've argued that, like, I think I drew it on the whiteboard a long time ago, but I argued that I would like to see, like, let's say, can you guys see this? Hang on, I'll zoom in. So you have like a battery component and you have an engine component. Obviously we want a mad engine, right? Just make it 900 horsepower at least. And then that's done. You don't need to talk about that anymore. On the battery side, you make it like 20% of the overall. And then, you know, if you're not the attacking car, you're only allowed to fill up this battery, say 95%. And then when you are the car behind, you get the full, you get ability to fill the whole battery up. You get this headroom here, and you still got, in a way, some small advantage, but it would be a very small advantage because you're getting 5% of 20%. You know, it's a little bit, only a tiny bit more power. You know, the reason we're getting such good racing is because there's a real big, you know, the car in front is at some kind of disadvantage with the clipping and their harvest rate, and the car behind has that ability to harvest, and the cars are small and they can follow and they can attack. And in Canada, we got fantastic racing. It just means we've got to put up with qualifying and listening to the engine die with that taper, which is frustrating, but then you get some decent racing. So I'm kind of like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's some good and bad in there, but it's hard to separate them. How do you keep the good and remove the bad? I think that's quite tricky to do, but possible. Ooh, there's a lot of questions. Any thoughts on Will Buxton's comments on MBS? I saw it quickly today on Instagram. He said something like it's like a dictatorship or something, to which I obviously don't agree with, but I can't add more value than that. Obviously it's not great for the sport and the way it's regulated and stuff like that, but I don't like, yeah, you guys, like, how to run, the best way to run the sport and who should be in charge and all that is like, it's not my thing. I can't add value there or give constructive criticism or feedback. Will says a lot of things. I kind of agree with him on this one, but I didn't agree with the way he hammered George the other day. That's all. Jordan Hill 700. Question: what are you looking out for the most this weekend from Kimi and Russell concerning their championship battle? Jordan, please tell me you were here at the start of the live stream. Please tell me. If you weren't here, I'll forgive you. If you were here, I'll refer you back to this. It's Kimi to build himself a weekend and show that he has the lap time and the professional, patient mindset to build a weekend and execute lap time under pressure in Q3 after he's built himself a weekend. There's all those other boxes that you got to tick in Monaco. It's not just a lap time exercise. It's a patience exercise. It's a professionalism exercise. It's a risk exercise, and there's all this other stuff in there, which is why I love it. So I'm looking for Kimi to do that. He'll need to do that if he wants to win. And not to say you can't not do that and still win. It's possible, but it's not very likely. Your chances decrease a lot. And so that's what I'm looking out for Kimi, to see, can he use that lap time to build himself a weekend? Okay. Harry Poppins 123 race IQ question. When is it better to attack on the outside versus the inside? On the inside, you can control the corner and are given more respect, but the outside has more braking grip. Yeah, that's a good question. So I prefer the inside 9 times out of 10, even notwithstanding the whole braking grip thing. If you can get to the inside, get there. If it's open, I think go for it. The chances are in your favor and the regulations are in your favor that you will be rewarded if you go for the inside. However, sometimes, like in Canada, you had George defending the inside, and therefore the inside is not an option for you anymore. And so you got to ask yourself the question, is it worth me attacking around the outside, and what can happen? It didn't work out very well for Kimi Antonelli, even in a corner like turn 1, which goes into turn 2, and the outside of 1 gives you the inside to 2. Even in that corner with the braking grip and everything you mentioned, it still didn't work out for him. So it's kind of like it's a low percentage play, and it's not easy to do. I would only do it out of having tried everything else and having watched the guy for a couple of laps and realized that this is my only play here. Whether or not it's necessary is the other question. Like you saw in the race, George just pretty much drove past Kimi down the back straight on lap 6 and took the lead. And there was no move or overtake in a way. So George's overtake was done in a much more, in my opinion, was done in a much more classy way. Whereas Kimi looked like he wanted to do it under braking around the outside. George did it in a completely different way, saving battery, forming an attack, and taking, like you say, the braking grip down into the chicane. So I'd go inside as much as possible, be careful on the outside, and ask yourself, is there a better way I can do this? Some other way, somewhere else? You might get an answer somewhere. Luke Man, how to take turn 19 uphill off camber properly? Do you need to change the diff tills? No, not so much. With the off camber, Anthony Node's last corner, you lose vertical load. It means you can't touch the pedals. It's very important. You only can use the steering wheel through there. So it's like you drive up to the corner, brake and lift. When you turn into the corner, just wait for the car to resettle before you go for power on the exit. It's important you don't ask for throttle on the exit because you'll look silly very quickly. So when you lose vertical load on a crest, I like to just be very patient in the middle of that corner. It's kind of similar to those corners in Abu Dhabi. They're both off camber crests. I think I can't remember the corner numbers, 14, 15, 16, something like that. Same thing. You just float the car over, go on the other side of it, basically. That's how I'd do with it. I wouldn't muck around with diff too much. I don't think it's got that much to do with that. It's just like you got to wait for the storm to pass kind of thing. I know we're quite a bit away, but do you have any initial impressions on the new Mad Ring track? I have seen the clips floating around, but I haven't had a good look at it yet. It looks like street circuit rule, build yourself a weekend, stay out of the wall, collect some points and move on. But as we get closer, I will give you guys better insights. Hopka, question, do you think current cars are made for this track or is it just talks and nothing else? Yes, they're made for this track. However, they've handcuffed them and restrict them with the PU information sheet. You know what we spoke about before? I'll bring it up, show you guys. Maybe you guys are just joining the Q&A section. I don't know sometimes. Yeah, they're made for this track, but they've gone and done this now. So, you know, once the cars get to 200, they're initiating the taper, and the cars are not going to be that exciting down the straights anymore. So it's like, I don't know how I feel about that upon reflection. Yeah. Zavish Dago 7753 question. With Merc tyre temp trick, will George and Kimi be able to have softer inputs and turn in, hence less wear on the tyre? Forget about tyre degradation and wear in Monaco. It's all about quality and getting your car as far up the grid as possible and ultimate performance and building yourself a weekend. If your tyres degrade, so what? You can still win, or you'll still finish 5th or whatever. I don't think it'll be a big talking point this weekend. I could be wrong, and it could be some strategic overcut, undercut race. I don't envisage that happening though, so try not to get too caught up in like long runs and tyre deg and all this crap that it doesn't have anything to do with Monaco. The start of the live stream, I spoke about the keys to Monaco, and they are building yourself a weekend with the street circuit rule. And then these are the most important things. The other pieces are number 1, braking grip, number 2, traction, and number 3, a car that can deal with elevations, bumps, and cambers. That's all. Don't confuse yourself with tire deg and stuff. Question, which corner do you think is the most technical in Monaco? 1819 gives me fits in the sim. Okay, so 1819 is Rascasse anti-nodes. I get it, because Rascasse is a tough corner. So the thing with Rascasse is your apex is kind of over here. So you just got to make sure that you time your turn in to miss all of this. Like don't get too concerned in turning into all that. You know, you kind of want to, I'll make that smaller, hang on. You kind of want to go around all that, and like you want to do something like that. And there you go. So just keep that in mind. That's probably helpful for there. And you really want to make sure that you got the steering wheel nice and straight on the exit, because you're very slow speed down here. It says 85 kilometers. And so straighten the steering wheel, and it's going to allow you to like push the throttle a little bit. And then when you lift and go over here, like I said, just don't touch there's like a no-go zone through here where you just don't touch the pedals through here, either brake or steer. Just let the car like resettle over this bump. And then once you get to the other side, same thing, try to keep the steering wheel straight and short shift and make your way up, kind of thing. Which corner do I think is the most technical? Well, if we're talking 7 technical corners, you know, you've got your 7 technical corners, chicanes, hairpins, S's, double apex, and your 3 long corners. But this track, for some reason, it just, even though there are some of those around here, like the Nouvelle chicane and the swimming pool chicane and the Lowe's hairpin, for me, they just don't fall in those, they don't fall in for me that category completely. One of the most challenging corners for me has always been Tabac. I don't know, Max, can you tell me the crash at Tabac, was it the left front in the wall at the apex here? This, I haven't seen it, but this is always a challenge for me on the sim, because you time your turn, this is your turn in, right? You're selecting a turn in point here for here, and that's really hard. And you hope that you go around the corner. Because if you turn in and you get more front grip than you expect, or you've turned in a fraction early, boom, you're in the wall and you go straight, you crash over here. Left front in the wall, similar to what Antonelli did back here in Q1 last year. So like when your apex is the wall, it's very hard, and it's a really committed corner. You've got to really put pen to paper at the back here. And so whilst it's not a technical corner per se, this for me is a really hard corner, I think, to just sight this apex when you turn in. Like, even if I've exaggerated too much, it doesn't matter. Your turning point is either here or here or here or here or here or whatever. It's far away, and it's far away that way, and you're trying to, it's hard. It's really hard. Now, that's different to turn 15. You're not so far away when you turn in. It's actually quite easy, and this is the corner that gets all the shots. Because you're turning in fairly close, like your apex is here and you're turning in here, you're fairly close. And so that corner looks stunning, but it's actually easier than to back, in my opinion. Max, yes, left side, both wheels in F3. There you go. So like, I haven't even seen that, but I know exactly what happened because I know what can happen at to back. And that's why, for me, to answer your question, sorry, who asked that question? I lost it now. Yeah, this one, Russ. To answer your question, to back. Yeah, for me. Came here from Instagram. Love the channel. Tend to agree with the swimming pool is probably the place to risk it all. Oh, but yeah, I maybe follow turn one going up the hill. Thanks for answering. Okay, so I got a question on my Instagram live in the break, and it was, if you're going to go for it and try to find some lap time in some corner. What was the question? Hang on, let me find it. It was best corner to risk it all for those extra few tenths in qualifying. And I said swimming pool, because you can really carry a lot of speed into this, where I've drawn the green line. And so thanks for coming over. Sunk work. Yeah, tend to agree. Swimming pool is probably the place to risk it all, maybe followed by turn one going up the hill. Thanks for answering. Cool. Thanks for coming over. Bubs. Usual top speed in Monaco is 290. With up to 200 now, the speed is not the key. What will be the key? Managing throttle in such a way to keep 199 kilometers the longest possible. Will we have surprise winners? Look, I think the keys, Barbara, to the circuit are hopefully here. For me, braking grip is really important. That feeds directly into confidence, which feeds directly into the whole picture. Traction, yes, is a key, but again, you got the part throttle regen, and it is what it is. And a car and a driver that can anticipate and deal with the elevations, bumps, crests, cambers, dips, and so on is another key. I think they're the keys to the circuit. So I hope that helps. Wow, there's a lot of questions. I'll have to be selective. What are you guys saying? Roz. Yeah, let me come back to me. Roz 4HLN1, Lando Norris 1. With Monaco being an outlier track in the F1 season, why is it regarded as the ultimate test to measure a driver's quality? Which factors are eliminated or introduced to justify this? Wow, that's a really good question. You've got to be really precise, and more precise without time to adjust. Like I just spoke about with Tabak, right? Remember I said here with Tabak, if you get this turn in wrong, like, how are you going to change? Like, you don't have time to open the steering wheel and get out of this, and you don't have runoff either. So you've either got to be extremely precise with your turning point, or you're in trouble. So you can't, like, let's say you're braking for Austin turn one, like a long braking zone, heaps of grip, turn in. You at that point, you get a feeling whether or not this corner is going to work out the way you want it to work out. And you can hold on to the brakes for a little bit longer, or pull another downshift, or change your line slightly, or correct mid-corner, or you got time in that long braking zone and that long-ish hairpin at turn one Austin. You haven't got that luxury of time here in Monaco. You saw Kimi Antonelli's crash last year. This one, you just, once you commit, you're committed. And so you need to be precise. Like, I'm sure Kimi realized this and wanted to get out of it, but you can't. You can't get out of it. You got to commit to the track. Not necessarily at this time, but that's why I guess it's being precise and the commitment piece. My voice is starting to go. And so I need to take one more question and then we'll go. Don't be dumb. Merch coming soon. Sport is going in the wrong direction with the regs calendar. We had a big boost in viewers around 21, but it's come with a lot of baggage. Yes. I noticed Lewis doing tight lines and short corners in Canada. How do you think that will carry to Monaco? I think that Lewis's confidence in Canada will carry into Monaco, and that's it. Like, I wouldn't overthink it too much. It's a confidence circuit. Wow, who was this? DBF430 sent 5 lower lap time gift memberships. Oh, thank you so much. So you're giving out memberships. That's amazing. Thank you. So Max got one, Fushimata got one, CC Dog got one, AKZ got one, Fast Dashboard got one as well. Welcome, guys. Get yourself in the Discord server. That's awesome. I do need to check for super chats. Is there a super chat? Yes, thanks, Max. Good tip. Thank you. Samar says, show us your helmet, please. All right. Give me a sec. All right, I completely forgot about that. So I'll leave it up there. So this is my helmet. This is, you know how everyone has a Monaco, well, traditionally and historically, everyone used to have a Monaco special helmet. And I was always like, I don't want to have a normal helmet and a Monaco special helmet. I want my normal helmet to be the Monaco special helmet. So here it is. It's a blue theme, obviously, for the water, to represent the water of Monaco and the coast. And kind of gold and silver theme as well. Hang on, I'll put it here. Yeah, kind of gold and silver theme as well to, I don't know, highlight the kind of luxury and royalty and class and elegance of Monaco. On the top, it's got my nationalities here, which is the Australian Southern Cross in gold stars and the Italian tricolours there. And yeah, obviously the painting and picture of Monaco on the back, which is super cool. So have a look at that. That's where we are this weekend. So yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I like the black visor because I just feel like it makes the helmet pop in a way. So the helmet pops and the visor doesn't take away. So I've had different colored visors on there, but yeah. A little sticker for my dog that passed away, which says, "Love you, Golden," because I used to call her Golden Bear. That's it. If you have any questions on it, you're welcome to ask, but thanks for asking. Okay. Yeah. The tricolore. Very good. Very good. The 3 colors. Looks like a Hakkinen helmet. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the live stream. Let's see who can build himself a weekend. Let's see if Kimi Antonelli can build himself a weekend. Keep an eye out for all of that. And yeah, we're going to have a live stream as well after quali, but just before the race on Sunday. It's a Monaco special, just so that we can go over quali. I can grab your thoughts, how you found it. It's going to be an exciting session. The Q3 lap, we might get some insights, have a look at some telemetry together. You know, send through some pictures if you guys are having a drink or celebrating before the race. Send them to my email, martin@lowerlaptime.com, and we'll bring them up. I'll have a drink together as well. That video will be sponsored by Sophie and Volt wine glasses, and I'll show you the wine glass. And yeah, enjoy the race. I hope you're celebrating it this weekend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you after practice tomorrow. Cheers.